Okay, we are live.
Okay.
So Dondi, can you give us an opening prayer? Is that okay?
Sure. Yep. Heavenly Father, we're grateful for the opportunity we have to gather this evening for our class. We pray that we'll be able to accomplish the things that we need to, and we will be able to finish out the rest of our semester in a pleasing manner, and we will be able to be happy with our performance in this class. And we love you to say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I made it.
Yay!
And
Hey, Andrew,
Hey,
you want to take over?
sure.
We just started.
Excellent. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
No problem.
We said a whole
So,
bunch of mean things about you already.
really,
We
Uh-huh.
did.
yeah,
very good, very
We all
good.
took turns.
That's what I expect.
Okay.
So, I didn't read this case, but I'm going to go off what the discussion is in the assignment. So, who would be so kind as to provide a brief synopsis of what's going on in this case?
All right, I got it. Basically, the NHL is stupid. Hockey players think they need more money. No, so there's more than that. So it's this whole ordeal about how the NHL and the NHL PA are going to court over player salary caps and trying to decide how much money they should make, because the NHL thinks that the players are making too much money. Some of the 19 of like the 30 teams or something like that are losing money, and so they basically need to figure out some sort of conclusion. They're in a lockout. I believe that he called a lockout. They've missed the first while of the season. I know I'm missing a few things, but that's kind of a brief overview of what's going on.
Awesome. So, so how would you describe NHL's culture? What are some of its strengths? What are some of its weaknesses?
like if it's talking about teams versus the union, or is it just talking about
I think
league?
it might be the league.
Well, I think that it's growing, so that's a strength. The NHL is definitely growing. The guy came in and he basically put NHL on the map. I think he took him to the Olympics. The teams grew from 24 to 30. My numbers could be off right there, but the players' salaries increased immensely in this time. So there's some strengths of it, but the weaknesses, they've got a few kinks to figure out as far as what's going on.
Awesome. Anyone else? Sweet.
I read it. I don't have a lot to add because I didn't write a paper about it. But and I don't really understand hockey. It's not an interest of mine, so this case was not something I could even relate to. The thing I found that was weird was the NHL and the Players Association each only had one person arguing their point, and it was just these two guys meeting, and if they didn't agree, then they just left and went back and talked to their people, and then they came back together, and it wasn't until the end that it talked about they had more people in the discussion. Am I right?
Right.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of weird that this is a multi-billion-dollar business and it's all coming down to these two guys getting along and making an agreement.
So maybe the other thing I would also think of as a weakness is that prior to this lockout, they had, I think, what do you call it, barely escaped a few lockouts. So that should have taught them a lesson to really put in the agreement that in case there is a stalemate in negotiation, they should quickly get a mediator or something. And that's something that they never did until this thing went way out of hand. So I'll consider that as a weakness.
Right.
You would think they would learn by then.
Yeah, but they never learned.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And they kind of flip-flopped. Like the NHL won one argument, and then they had a 2-year contract, and then at the end of the 2-year contract, the Players Association won the next. Like, so they, the lockout versus, what is it when the strike? Like, the owners do a lockout, and then the players strike to get what they want, and then the owners do a lockout. And so they kind of just kept flip-flopping back and forth instead of coming to an agreement that both parties are happy with. Yeah, you would think by the time they got to this last one that they would, I don't know, make it work. Because when they do a lockout and they canceled the whole season, that's billions of dollars of revenue for all those teams and those owners and those players and the families. And not only that, but the cities that have the teams, you know, like restaurant revenue or the parking revenue that comes with those games, like all of that's gone. And so it's not just these two guys' egos that are on the line. There's a whole bunch of people that are affected by these decisions.
Awesome. All right. So this question, I don't know what a ZOPA is, but it says, is it possible to change another person's ZOPA or ZOPA? Why or why not?
I didn't look that one up.
I
don't
did, but I don't remember what it is.
The ZOPA means the zone of possible agreement.
So,
It's a
Explain.
range between which both parties could possibly reach an agreement. That is what a ZOPA is.
so the question was, is it possible?
Yeah, to change another person's ZOPA.
Yeah, through negotiation. I mean, if you are able to make a very good point, you should be able to convince the person to be able to shift. But it looks like, I mean, in this current situation, most of them are so entrenched in their demands that they just don't want to meet anywhere. I mean, everybody wants what they want, and nobody wants to budge. So it's up to one of them to have been a bigger person to at least be able to convince the other person that, hey, let's get into what do you call it, a point that we can agree on.
A compromise.
Yeah, but none of them wanted to compromise.
Right.
It got to a point that the owners association said, we will give you 39 million or 49 million, take it or leave it, we're done. And
Well, yeah,
that is not good.
The owners offered 24 and they said 50, and then they said 30 and they said 45, but like these guys got up to 40 and they wouldn't budge, or whatever the numbers were. They were very far apart. But you think there's other places that they could have compromised on, even if, you know, if they got something that they wanted, that they could have compromised in another area. And it seems like they both just stood their ground, and that's why the season was locked out.
Right.
Because neither of them were willing to meet in the middle.
Awesome.
So,
Kind of just seems like spoiled brats to me. That's
right.
And I mean, but it's their livelihood, and both of them, it's their livelihoods. So they're both fighting for what they think is right. So I understand that, but when you think of the millions of dollars that they're bringing in as owners and the millions of dollars they're making as players, you just think, just work it out, you guys. Like, there's people willing to pay you to watch you play,
You know,
and you guys can't come to an agreement to get paid.
you know, the funny thing is that, I mean, the two parties who were negotiating are not going to lose. It's the owners and the players who are losing in this agreement, because those two people get paid whether they played or not.
Yep.
You say it. Whether they played or not, they get paid. But the owners don't get paid and the players don't get paid when there's a lockout. So that is why they were so entrenched in their positions that they didn't care.
Yeah. So if you were the Players Association, what would you guys do to resolve the situation?
I would talk to the players and tell them, look, just like what Becky was saying, you guys can't be spoiled brats. You have to settle on something. If they love playing the sport, they have to be able to be willing to pay for a certain amount and be okay with that. I think it's ridiculous. The whole thing was stupid to me, but whatever.
Yeah, settle on $42 million. Okay,
Right.
sounds like
Right.
a good deal.
Oh gosh, golly, I don't make 45, you know?
Darn, I really wanted 43.
So
Yeah.
stupid.
Well, and the
This
players,
case was stupid.
yeah, the players, they solved this problem by going to other countries and playing. They went to Canada,
Right.
they went to Europe, and they kept playing and they kept getting paid, not as much as they were getting paid in the NHL, but they went and found other jobs. And that made the NHL commissioner mad because now he's losing his players to other countries.
Yeah.
So if you're the NHL, what would you do?
Put your big
Yeah,
boy
because they're
pants on
losing
and
a lot of money.
compromise. Wow.
Awesome. So
My 2 cents.
this question, what gospel concepts are pertinent in this case? Deep thinking.
Pride.
Pride.
Pride. The two of them were just two negotiators were just too prideful. And if you are so prideful, there's no way you can compromise with the other person. If pride were out of the two of them, this thing could have been settled in just 1 minute. They could have easily sat down and compromised, but they were just way too prideful.
I agree.
I think you can
Anyone
take it
else?
a step farther into like a marriage that there's things that my husband sees differently than me, and you have to meet in the middle. You have to work for the betterment of our family and meet in the middle to make those compromises. You each have to give a little. I mean, we're not talking millions in our budget, you know, a couple pennies here or there, but on other things, you know, like where we want to go on vacation or whose parents we're going to for Thanksgiving. Like you just have to compromise because you have to think of the best of everyone involved.
Awesome. Well, that was it. That was all the questions. It was literally all the questions. And we blew through them. Is there anyone else that wants to make any kind of comment about the case or anything? Should we turn off the live before we make these comments or what?
Are we supposed to meet for an hour? Is it supposed to be strictly?
It's the end of the semester. Just
You know, this is like the last day of school, you know, where you have the party.
A party.
yeah, you just don't go to school on the last day of school. That's what you do. So
I started
guess.
reading
Go for it.
this case and then I stopped because I thought to myself, okay, the pass on an assignment is too I wanted to use it really bad because I did not want to read this case. So I took it. So that's my comment.
I did too.
It's
Yeah,
totally worth it. At least you guys showed up to the meeting. I was like, no.
And I know I was rushing to get here, so I'm glad I did too. It's the last
Yeah.
day of class, kind of.
You
No,
guys
guess
are
what? We have to meet together next week.
Nuh-uh.
Mm-hmm.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
For
because we have
what?
to present our final projects to each other.
Oh, really?
Our accountability
Oh,
together. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hey Andrew, where you been, man? I've
I
been.
know. I
Emailing
I've
you.
suffered on that one. Big time.
Gee.
are you guys accountability
We
partners?
are meeting next week.
And Godfred. Because
All three of you?
at the beginning I couldn't find anyone, and everyone I tried never emailed me back like I did to Dylan, kind of. But I went on yours a couple times, Dylan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good
And then,
reminder because I haven't touched mine for about a week, so I should probably go check on that.
And then at one of our meetings here, I was like, man, I can't find anyone. No one's responding. Can we just be partners together? So that's what we did.
Nice. Well, I went and looked up I just Googled B321 accountability project presentation or something like that. And I found this video of these three guys from BYU that are doing and so No joke. The video is 18 minutes long. The whole thing's supposed to be 5 to 7 per person. And then they go like this. So it says we're supposed to, hang on, report your, like, and they read what they're supposed to do. They're like, okay, so I guess mine was like nothing pre-planned, no PowerPoint, no pre-thought to anything. One guy's over there eating cereal, like chomping on cereal in the video, like I can hear, and every time he crunches, his light goes on and his picture comes up. He's chomping on cereal, and the other guy's like bouncing about. I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys. If that's what they can do, then I'm just going to show up next week and tell you how I did. I'm not even going to put any thought into it. But I mean, that's not what I'm going to do. But
I think the hardest part was going to.
Okay, I'm going to stop the broadcast now since we're done.
Okay, good. Good job, guys.